Hey everyone, Coach Kate here. Tonight for December's Live and Learn, we are talking all about journaling. We are going to give everyone a few moments to settle in and get comfortable. I'm just gonna share that we're live a couple other places because I promised folks I would. And I would love if you're here, if whether on Instagram or Facebook, to chime in the comments feature, give me a wave, let me know you're here. This is a session that I usually do live, so I'm used to being able to see reactions and how people are doing, and I want to hear from you guys what you're working on. You know, what are your intentions when it comes to journaling, what you hope to get out of the practice, all of those good things. So if you're here, say hi, and we will get started in just a moment. If you're just joining us, make sure that you have a journal with you, maybe a favorite pen, a cup of tea if you like. Go ahead and get settled in. I am sharing this. And let's get going. So, why do we journal? Great question. I personally started journaling as a very, very, very young kid. And it was something that I was drawn to get everything out of my head, to process things that were going on in school that maybe I just wasn't ready to share with my parents or my brothers. I have all of my diaries from childhood, and I go back, and there's lots of crushes in there or embarrassments, a lot of just working through what was going on in life. It was that confidant for me. And at some point in time, I added poetry on top of that, and drawing and collaging, and a variety of other creative writing elements began to pile in. So the journaling has evolved over time for me. Later on in life, I was introduced to things like The Crossroads of Should and Must, such a wonderful book. I Am Her. All of these journals that were filled with wonderful prompts and areas to draw and imagine and think about your life. And so journaling became about personal development and growth and what could I be, and putting all my future dreams in there. And that was something that I kept up all the way through college. And some of my best college friends and I used to all have our journals, and we would be out sitting under the big orange tree and thinking about what we wanted to do with our lives and what would that look like. And sometimes it was about our careers, and sometimes it was about boys and who we liked. And there were also a lot of letters to ourselves in terms of, you can get through this, you can do this, you deserve better, it's gonna be okay. So a lot of healing happened in my journal. And it was such a personal, exploratory space for me. It was really safe. After college, I started a career in which I was writing a lot. And writing was my passion. As a child, I wanted to be a writer and an author and an artist and all of these things. And I was doing it. But when I came home at night, I felt a little drained. Like, am I really going to keep writing? I don't know if I'm going to do that. Or I was editing what I was writing, right? Because all of a sudden, everything I wrote was in a critical eye. Was it formatted? Was I telling story? Was that, PR? Were my keywords in it? Was that right grammar? All of a sudden it became very focused and critical, and I stopped looking forward to my journaling practice. I started lying in my journaling practice. I didn't have enthusiasm for it. I lost a lot of my enthusiasm for my creative practices and my self-expression. I was putting all of my energy into the workday. And it wasn't until a couple years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago, when I had this huge aha of, you are depressed and anxious because you aren't being yourself, that I got back into the journaling and art and exploring that and expressing myself. That journaling came back into my life. And now I love using it with my clients to help deepen their learning and understanding of what we have discussed. Their ahas become that much more powerful. So now I'm using journaling as a professional tool to help my clients. So thank you for joining me today to talk more about journaling and how I can maybe pass on a few tips and tricks that I've used to help get back into a journaling practice after leaving it for a good 8 years, right? Like trying to find that willpower and getting into a new habit and what am I doing and all of those kind of things. And then I want us to practice together. Hi, Mallory, yay. So let's go ahead and put some of these practices into action this evening. So if you're just joining us, get a journal out or just a pad of paper, whatever, something. And I want you to start I'll get out all of my magic pens. Just grab a pen and start just making marks on your page. Maybe it's just swirls and circles. Maybe you start moving into shapes, right? But this is just a doodle. I just want you to start doodling while you listen to me talk for just a few more minutes before we start doing some exercises about journaling and how to get the most out of your practice. Now, the reason why I'm having you do this doodling is for a couple reasons. One is that this movement of just kind of creating any lines, any kind of design is really working your right brain, that creative side of your brain. And I think often when I think about journaling and writing and expressing myself as a very creative activity, right? So I want you to start working and warming up that right side of your brain just by doing these motions and start to get messy in your journal. One of the toughest things that I have found that my clients often talk about is they've got this brand new, beautiful journal, or maybe they've got, something that has prompts in it, and it feels tough to like get it messy and dirty and you're gonna ruin it. I want you to get this thing messy. I want this thing to be so lived in. Like I have sticky notes in mine. So I want you to start doing that doodle and turning on the right brain, because the alphabet is actually left brain and very logical. So we want to start warming ourselves up for this activity to make sure that our right brain is engaged, because depending on what you've been doing, it's not. So let's get that right brain going. The other reason why I want you to doodle while you listen is because it helps with your concentration. 25% improvement in memory. It also helps you stay present in the moment and receptive of information. It's been a long day. You're probably ready for the holidays, and it's easy for our mind to wander. The research shows that doing some doodling helps us stay focused, and I want you to take home everything today. Doodling is also another way to express yourself in addition to words when we think about journaling. I love to doodle. I know a lot of folks are uncomfortable with the idea. There's a lot of judgment of, I can't draw or do that, but I'm just talking about doodling. Just moving your pen, creating shapes, whatever it is. And if you want to, work on creating a picture of something, a visual, a symbol, that can be so powerful, right? And it's about the creation and the reflection of it. So just start getting warmed up. And this is part of what I have found so successful in having an energizing journaling practice is by spending a few moments waking up that right brain and getting settled and grounded into the practice. We'll do a breathing exercise in a minute as well. So why are you here to journal? I would love to know. Mallory, I know you're here. What is it that you are hoping to get from your journaling practice? Is it that you want to spend some time reflecting on your day and making sense of things? Are you interested in having a place to work through ideas and innovation journal? Are you collecting things that you might want to do? Maybe you want to have a tracking journal for your garden, for exercise, for new habits. Mallory is working on self-reflection, right? I love like that classic self-reflection, healing, building your language and understanding of what's going on so that you can express yourself and move forward. And a lot of times we just let that stuff go in our head and around and around and around. Just by getting it out in a journal, we're able to process and let it go. It's also really great to help you work through something that you might want to talk through with someone else, or to plan something. You can also use it to capture things. Maybe it's a travel journal. Maybe it's all my favorite moments journal, a mind purge. Yes, I love that you said that. We're going to mind purge in a minute, Mallory. How can you, retain all of these wonderful experiences that happen in your life without needing it here? And how can it be that very therapeutic, as Mallory said, that place for that mind dump, that purge, that healing, that safe space just to get it all out. They've done so much research into the power of the doodle and the journal and all the sticky notes and all of that kind of stuff, of having information in these other places is an extension of ourselves and our brain, and allows us to work smarter and faster and all of those kind of good things. It helps us achieve our goals, and more than that, just a tracking, but also in terms of really writing them down and thinking about them and visualizing them. And research has shown that you're more likely to reach your goals if you have that really powerful vision of it. So whatever your reason for journaling is, I want you to write that down. Maybe on the first page of your journal, I'm going to have you create a couple habits, a habit around your journaling process as well. So in a place in your journal where you're going to see it time and again, I want to write down what your goal is, why you are doing this, why journaling matters to you. And in those tough moments when you're kind of thinking, I don't have the energy for this, I don't want to do it, you can flip it open and be reminded about why you're doing this. So is it self-reflection and a space to grow? You know, is this a place to spark your creativity? Is it a way that you hope to build your language around yourself and your business? Whatever it is, just write it down. Another one that I haven't explicitly mentioned is a memoir. Memoirs are really fun to write, as well as healing. And there are a couple great books out there and articles about how to write a memoir and how to go through your life kind of year segments at a time and recall the key moments of it. But that can be really, really powerful for yourself as a healing process, as well as then for generations later. I know I have the memoirs that my grandfather wrote, and they are very powerful. And you can also have just like a full sketch notebook, and a gratitude notebook is a great source for not only feeling better and having that self-reflection in the moment, but also in the future when you reflect on it, it can revoke those powerful memories. So once you kind of know why you're journaling, that's going to help you set up to have a really powerful practice, because you need to know what you expect to get out of this and to be able to determine what you're going to talk about. Like, are you talking about something that you know? Are you writing about what scares you, about what decisions you need to make? Maybe about conversations you need to have. You're writing about your dreams and goals. When in doubt, find a prompt. Maybe the topic is all about your garden and your flowers. Maybe you have multiple journals. So I have many a journal here. I'm just gonna hold them all up for you. So this is a bullet journal. Yay, bullet journals. Let's find a page that looks cool. Make it really easy to kind of customize all the different pages that you want to use. And these are really great for tracking, and you can be really creative in them. This is a general collection of ideas and doodles. I like to doodle about doodles in here, right? So something for ideas and doodles, and these are all my big dream stickies. If you do Blue Sky with me, you know what those are about. This journal was given to me by a really good friend for my birthday a few years ago. And I actually have used it to capture really intense emotional times in my life. And it is exclusively for the purpose of the really hard feels. And I've done that for a couple of reasons. One is that this journal in particular, because it was given to this friend, like, I feel like it's a little hug when I have it. And it can kind of go anywhere with me, and often I take those big emotions out into nature, things like that, where I can just pour my heart out. The other thing is I found that because I have a regular reflection process, which we'll talk about. It's important to regularly review what you've been writing to understand themes and all of those kind of things. But that because I have all of these ideas and things like that, I flip through my journals a lot, and seeing all this negative stuff over and over and over was really bumming me out. It really kind of brought me down, because a lot of why it's in here is to just like let it go. Let it go. So I am all about having many journals, right? And the one that helps you think through tough questions. This one was given to me by a friend, Living Well, 1 line a day. It captures 5 years on a single page, right? There's so many different types of journals out there. So this can be really fun and exciting. But really you want to pick your journal based on the type of journaling that you want to do. Mallory, you love bullet journals. Yes. With self-reflection, mind purge kind of going. Are you using a bullet journal? Do you have a line journal? Like, what's your go-to for the self-reflection? What have you got in front of you? I'm curious. This right now is my kind of go-to writing one. And I like to use colors and bobby pins to mark pages, right? We get all fancy over here, I'm sure. So we can also talk about, like, I obviously have a lot of hardcover stuff in front of me, but a lot of great journaling can happen, especially like micro journaling on the go, can happen digitally, right? Like on our phone, from in your note section to texting yourself. There are journal apps. So while I appreciate the psychological impact and fidelity and colorfulness and hands-on, I also encourage you, if you're like that digital person, you don't want to carry around another thing, there are so many great ways to use a digital mean to get your journaling on. And once again, like, get into the coloring or scrapbooking. You know, you might have something that's larger and capturing a lot of stuff. So, you know, these come in all shapes and sizes. The next part of creating an energizing practice is when you journal. There are kind of some quote unquote known times for when it can be more powerful to journal about some things than others. However, at the end of the day, it's really about what sparks you and makes you feel good. So for instance, there's some thought about the morning flow and creative mornings, morning pages, where when you wake up and your brain is kind of fresh from processing through all of these things, that you get it out. And it can be very inspirational and looking at the future and all of those kind of good things. Often in the evening, right after a long day, that journaling can be really helpful for processing and working through emotions and analyzing what's going on. That being said, a lot of night owls are really creative and do their best work at night. So when you think about the time that you journal, I would like you to primarily first think of like a time of day when you might be able to build a regular time into your routine as you build a new habit. However, the time might not be based on a clock. The time might be based on how you feel. Right? So Kate's Big Emotions journal doesn't get pulled out at a specific time of day. It gets pulled out whenever I have a specific feeling. So I'm cued to journal in this when I feel a certain way. And creating that habit was tough, right? Of like, usually that inner critic comes up or those hard feelings come up and I would stew, right? So I did put some sticky notes up and around to kind of remind myself, like I had a big sticky note on this of like, write when you feel. So think about what are your objectives, right? If you're using a bullet journal and tracking things, right, you're going to want to have your journal on you quite often, and you might be having it open and looking at it every hour, maybe at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? If you are using it for exercise, you're going to have it in your gym bag, and the time is going to be after I end my exercise. So you want to think about a time where you can create some space for yourself for the purpose that you have chosen. And this time doesn't have to be a lot of time, especially when if you're just starting this habit, if this is a new habit that you're building. Honestly, like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes is so much time. You will get so much benefit out of that, and you'll see that here in a minute, right? So it doesn't have to be a huge amount of time, but you want to give yourself enough space that if you do get into it, then you don't necessarily have to cut yourself short. In terms of kind of the best practices of journaling time, it really helps to open and close with some kind of ritual or meditation or breathing to just help with mindset. So I like to light a candle, like get my cup of tea. Like all of these little things that make this time special and make me want to spend this time with my journal. Always start on a blank page and date your entry. Write quickly. Quantity over quality. Forget the grammar police. Break away from any formal writing styles. Don't be a perfectionist. And that can be tough, but just let go, right? You're going to set a timer and just go. If you need to, ensure the privacy of your journal so that you can make sure you are telling the full truth. Yes, I totally just didn't say everything in my journals at one point in time when I was giving it up. Like I just didn't even want to put my full self on those pages, and that's kind of when I gave up. This is such an important place to be honest. And if that means you need to hide your journal to make it feel safe, do it, right? Please. Do whatever you want to do to make sure that you feel safe to put all of your emotions and thoughts in there. And most importantly, as you get into this process and creating a new habit, experiment with the time of the day, the type of writing that you do, the pen, the material. Are you talking about specific topics, using prompts? Just keep at it until you find something that sparks you, or a combination of all of them like I have, right? So just keep playing with it. And most importantly, do take time to reflect. Maybe it's once a quarter, every 6 months, on everything that you've written, right? It's not only the process that's therapeutic, but also what you can learn or appreciate. I know in this 5-year one has been fun going back and seeing, you know, some of the small wins or things that I discovered about myself that I had forgotten about. And I was like, oh yeah, I need to be doing that. Like, I'm glad I wrote it down once, right? And now I can remind myself and come back and do it again. We can also see when we're like still beating our head on the same issue over and over and over again. And I saw that in myself for a long time. And it was like, then do something different. Yay, right? So there's a lot that you can learn from reflecting in your journal. You can, like, what is the tone that you're using? Is it a happy tone? Is it a sad tone? What do you learn about yourself and your values and what's important to you? Yeah, so those are kind of my key tips to creating a energizing practice. And so what I want you to do now is think about, under your purpose and like your goal for journaling and how you want to feel when you journal. I want you to create a planned habit. In this post associated with this video, I do have the 4 R's of habit, right? And this is really great to just kind of think about creating a routine that you can get into. So the first R of habit is your reminder. And that is your cue to journal. So maybe that's a time of day and you want to put a calendar reminder in, right? Or maybe it is a sticky note to journal when something happens. You know, what is it that is your cue to journal? Maybe it's when you get out of the gym and back into the car. Whatever that cue is, right? Like mine's an emotional one. Second piece, what is your ritual? What are those special little things you want to do to add to your routine that's going to make it special? And it helps to think about that along with the third R of routine, right? Is like, what is that specific habit? I am going to sit down and write and doodle for 15 minutes every night when I get home from the office. At my desk, I'm going to light a candle and have a cup of tea, put some music on, cuddle with the puppy. And I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes, right? What is that habit that you want to cultivate? What is that routine? And then the reward, Mallory, we talked about this the other day, is the benefit, right? And a lot of our habits come with intrinsic rewards, right? Like you want to journal because you know it's going to be helpful for you and help you make sense of things and be more mindful and meet your goals and all of those kind of good things. But you don't feel that overnight, right? Like, wouldn't it be great if we all felt instantly better overnight? But it takes practice. And research says it's more like 66 to 166 days for a new habit to kick in. So we really need to reward ourselves as we're completing that routine, that habit, so that we can directly associate it with positive feelings in our body. The more that you feel the reward, the more likely that you'll follow through with the habit the next time you're cued. So when you think about a reward, I encourage you to think of something that is a little bit value aligned, but also, I mean, have fun with this. Like, is this the time of day when you get like your little chocolate bar? Or, you know, is after you journal when you get to then Netflix and chill because you know you've done the good processing, right? Like, what is the reward when you complete this journaling practice? Eventually, the intrinsic reward is going to kick in. The habit is going to kick in. But until then, you want to add a little bit of something to it, right? And that's a part of why, like, I love tea. I love making the cup of tea, so it's also a part of my routine. But yeah, I do have a love for chocolate, and having that at that special time is really nice. And I kind of know that it's waiting there for me next time I go to journal. So for your habit that you've written for yourself, you should have your reminder, your routine with your ritual, and your reward. On top of that habit, in terms of the journaling habit, you may also want to create a reflection habit. So is it once a quarter or every 6 months, once a year? How often are you reviewing what you've worked on, right? And is that, once again, are you putting a cue in your calendar so the calendar reminds you to reflect? Are you doing it at a certain holiday? What is it that'll get you to reflect? Then what is the routine? Is it, I'm going to spend 15 minutes rereading and highlighting, or putting sticky notes, or journaling about what I discover? And then what is the reward? You know, is this worthy of a dinner out, or a trip to the local coffee shop for a pastry? What is the reward you have for doing that reflection? So make sure that you have both a journaling and a reflection habit created. Does that all make sense? We are now gonna have some fun. Gonna have some fun. So if you're just joining us, or you are on the replay and looking to dive into some journaling exercises, yay, we reached that time. So we are going to start our journaling practice together, as I said, with a little breathing, meditation, and visualization. There's been a lot of research done into the power of visualization for writers, for any kind of goal achievers, and just settling yourself and getting connected and into the moment is really healthy for your creativity and for getting into what is really going on. So go ahead and get comfortable. You can put your hands on your thighs. Close your eyes or do a drop to gaze as you would like. And just find your breath. Just notice your breath. Imagine yourself on a peaceful shore, on a tranquil lake. If the mind is a snow globe whirling with thoughts, images, memories, and feelings, then the winds of internal thoughts and energy are what keep it stirred up, looking like a snowstorm. Let the snow globe of your heart and mind settle by breathing deeply, relaxing, and releasing all the tension, worries, and concerns you've been carrying, at least for a moment. Let your gentle breath sweep it away, and just let everything settle. Now turn the spotlight inward and rest in your infinite awareness, loosely and naturally in the innate sense of ease and well-being. Notice the space between thoughts as everything settles and slows down, and the inner clarity and peace emerge from within. Rest in it. Become it. Be it. Feel like the still center that is always there, the blue sky that is always there. Nothing more is needed. In this moment, you have everything you need. You are enough. Breathe in, let. Breathe out, go. Let go. Okay. Now when you're ready, open your eyes and come back to the world. And I'm going to time you. And for the next 60 seconds, I want you to write about 1 to 3 things that you're grateful for, or really proud of, or enjoyed, and really just dive into the details. So if you just focus on one thing that you're grateful for and just give it so much detail, do that. Okay, so 1 minute of gratitude journaling starting now. And as you fill out the details of what you're grateful for, how does this make you feel? Where do you feel it in your body? You can write that down as well. So your 1 minute is up. How did that feel? You feel like you had got some thoughts out, got a few details going. I find gratitude journaling very rewarding because it allows you to conjure up some really feel-good feelings. And all of the research has shown that doing reflections on gratitude help you become a happier person. Gratitude is one of the key strengths of being human, one of the 25 key character strengths, and it's the most malleable. So creating a practice of gratitude through journaling can be really encouraging, not just for that moment, but also in terms of being able to reflect back when things are going a little tough or you just need a boost. You can look back over your life and also know that you're getting happier. The research has shown that it is better to spend fewer times journaling about the gratitude, but providing more detail in the moments than it is to rattle off some things that you're grateful for every day. And really that's about this buildup that we can kind of become immune and blasé. So I encourage you to gratitude journal once or twice a week and spend a couple minutes really diving into not only the details of what you're grateful for, but then also diving into how it makes you feel, thinking about that, and where you feel it in your body. Okay, our next exercise is another kind of prompt exercise. And I want you to take a moment and reflect. You do some writing, however you want to get these thoughts out. Maybe you want to do a little doodle. But what matters to living the life you love? What matters to living a life you love? Ready, right? Maybe you also want to think about who matters to living a life you love. And as you look over what you've written, are you seeing values? Are you seeing activities? Is it a way of life? Can you now turn everything you've written into a 5 to 9 word sentence that encapsulates that answer to what matters to living a life you love? I think I can share an example with you. I know this is a tough challenge. What matters to you and living the life you love and turning that into a 5 to 9 word sum up sentence. If you'd like to share what you've written, we'd love to hear. Mine was authentically connecting every day brings joy, laughter, love, and healing. I really like journaling prompts because they can push you in ways that you would never think to push yourself and have you reflect on things that you would never otherwise reflect on. And some of it can be backwards looking, some of it can be forward looking. I have been sharing journal prompts on my Facebook page, Kaptivate, and in the Truly Creative Confident Women Facebook group with the hashtag journal and share. So you can click on that hashtag and you'll see a whole bunch of journaling prompts there, and I'm going to continue to post them. I know there are like 1 million books out there as well that have kind of guided prompts and journeys. Like I said, I think The Crossroads of Should and Must is a great one. Or you can Google, right? Like there is no end to prompts. And I have someone who, a client who took this workshop in person last December, I think, and started a habit of 5-minute journaling, answering 1 prompt a day. And she really came to love this time with her journal, often taking it to coffee shops or with her coffee and tea, giving it special meaning. And while she started with that 5 minutes, and when she started, that was plenty, she is now writing for much longer, and she still uses the prompts, but she also goes off script a lot. So I definitely encourage you to experiment. Mallory, thank you. It doesn't have to be sweet. It's about whatever sparks you. But yeah, so I definitely encourage you to check out some prompts if you're feeling stuck or don't know where to start. There are 1 million out there. Our last exercise together is all about finding your unique superpower. So what I would like you to do once again is to spend a moment reflecting and visualizing. Go ahead and close your eyes and think about, when was the last time that you felt proud? What were you doing? Who were you with? What happened that you're proud of? How did you contribute to making that proud moment happen? Now, if you look at that special combination of skills or how that you used to make that proud moment happen. That unique combination. That's your superpower. Yay! Now, if that superpower had a title and was named, what would it be called? You can open your eyes now. What would that superpower be called? And can you draw it? Doodle it. So doodle the power in action. I'm going to give you 60 seconds to doodle your superpower in action. Don't worry about perfection. But let's see that doodle superpower. I've seen all sorts of fun things in response to this question. One that I really loved was a hairdresser and teacher who had like all of these spinning hands, so their hands could be everywhere at all times, you know, giving the right extra touch or right attention or right detail or right education anywhere. That one sticks in my mind. And after you've done a little drawing, a little doodling, working that right brain and creating a fun visual, I want you to write a 3-sentence story about how you will use that superpower as Superhero X this upcoming week. So just 3 sentences, a 3-sentence story about how you're going to use this superpower this upcoming week. So once again, we see journaling as a way to reflect and have gratitude, as well as really think and plan and look to the future and how we might act and behave differently, right? So really powerful stuff. So in review, right, there are a million great reasons to journal, but you need to find what sparks you and a format that sparks you, a time of day that sparks you, in order to keep coming back and to make sure you hit all 4 R's of that habit. Make sure you've got a reminder in your calendar or sticky notes or a feeling or whatever that is. Create that ritual to make it a special time. Give it a routine. Know exactly what you're going to do. Time yourself. Quantity over quality. Forget the grammar police. And reward yourself for creating this practice, whatever it might need to be. And that, my friends, is how I have gone about creating an energizing practice. So with that, I leave you with encouragement to experiment with your practice. Time of day, what kind of format? Are you just texting yourself? Do you have a beautiful journal and pen? Are you cueing yourself based on a feeling in addition to making sure that you're sitting down in a particular time of day? Are you doing this with friends in a group and making it a social thing? Whatever it is, do it because it's going to make a difference to you and because you want to do it. But do not make journaling one more have to or should in your life. Thank you, everyone, for being here. If you have any questions, shoot them my way. Mallory, it's been a pleasure to see you and have you participate. Don't forget to follow the journal and share hashtag. And I would love to see more sharing of what you guys are feeling and coming up with, because we are all experiencing so much of the same things and we feel so alone and we just don't have to. Much love, much love. Everyone have a safe and happy holiday if I don't talk to you guys soon. And yeah, happy New Year. Bye.